I built an AI CFO that looks at every single part of my business 24/7, realizes exactly where the money is going, realizes exactly how much money is coming in, and it's all showcased in a nice, beautiful dashboard. So I want to quickly show you how to set this up for yourself because even though it sounds kind of difficult, it's actually extremely easy and is practically only two big steps. Step number one is to make sure you use, because I was already kind of jumping the gun a little bit, to make sure you use any sort of AI. This could be Claude, this could be ChatGPT. We just need some sort of environment to talk with an AI to actually let it build out this stuff for us. But that's actually really, from the software perspective, all you're going to need. Subscription to either Claude or ChatGPT. It will work for both. And we need a skill. So what exactly is a skill? In this case here, doesn't actually even matter because you don't need the skill itself. You just need the text here, right? What have we got? The whole thing that you need is this text right here. You tell your Claude or ChatGPT, interview me relentlessly about every aspect of this plan until we reach a shared understanding. Walk down each branch of the design tree, resolving dependencies one by one. For each question, give a recommended answer. Ask the question one at a time, and if a question can be answered by exploring the code base that we already have, explore it instead. And I'll leave this prompt and actually every single relevant prompt over in the school, which you can find linked down below, which is like this place that's just absolutely free, that I share a lot of my prompts or a lot of my journey, or sometimes there's also cool different things you can find in there, like some free classes and stuff. Just find it. The link is down below. But as I was stating, this specific skill or question is the majority of what you're going to need to do. Whenever you're starting out a chat with Claude or ChatGPT, it needs to understand in its core what your business is all about. And so if you now, in the context here, you tell it, hey, I want to make a new financial planner. I want to turn you into a CFO. I want you to do my finances from here on forward. Grill me about the subject. Interview me relentlessly about my financial situation, about my company, so you have every single detail you need to keep track of everything. That's a step number one. Because once it knows where to look for all the files, once it knows where to look for your vision, by it, of course, having it written down in a file, once it knows exactly which hidden costs there are and how these things are connected, by you two discussing it, it'll be able to adequately make choices that it recommends on your situation from all the core literature around the world. That does not mean replace your accountant or something like that with ChatGPT or Claude, but funnily enough, theoretically speaking, you could. And this may sound kind of crazy, but most accountants are still better than an AI would be. But if you don't have an accountant, AI will most likely help you out a ton, because it is able to look up all the official tax rules in your country, in your jurisdiction, look up all the official accounting literature, and sometimes even communicate already through API with real accounting software to insert details of some of the stuff it's able to find in your folders and upload it automatically. Now, again, this stuff could still be experimental. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying it's a possibility to work towards. But as your AI now knows a lot about your business, now comes the slightly harder, but actually way more beautiful secondary step of building some sort of dashboard that looks like this. And so what I've basically built here, this, by the way, took me 10 seconds for my AI to set up, and I'll give you the exact prompt in just a second. Okay, I couldn't wait. The real exact prompt is just build me a dashboard. Build me a full-on operating system about what we just talked about. And it'll literally build you something that looks like this, because I explicitly told it to be a generic dashboard that's not specifically for me, not based on my on the Claude knowledge that it already had, just something that a lot of people could reuse, or that is generic that Claude could simply generate. Once you've got this, you can start becoming more specific with it. But hey, just to prove the idea here, I actually let it generate a creator dashboard too, which looks like this. The core thesis is still the same, but let's quickly go over it. So it's got a command deck, it's got a company brain, so you can see the context every AI tool needs before it can help. So feed this in once, and it markets, sells, and writes as your company not a generic bot. Now, two things. One thing that I think would be quite cool is if you see somewhere in this overview, what it knows about your company, broken down into different subjects, really in quite a deep manner. So you can actually sometimes read through to see if something is not accurate anymore, if you don't want to, let it ask you questions. Or somewhere in this that could also be kind of cool if you have some overview that you could insert into every other AI that you'd want to use, so it has kind of like the same knowledge. We've got a marketing section, a sales pipeline section, and an operations. But let's actually start at the top. You can see I've let it gather a ton of different data in one place. Revenue on the one hand, new leads, open deals, cash runway. So these you could actually let automatically update based on real data that Claude can actually look at. And if you're wondering exactly how to do it, I'll tell you one very simple trick here that you can learn from for the rest of your life. Whatever data it is that you've got, as long as you point Claude towards it, it'll know how to insert it into something like this. So let's just say I've got actual revenue numbers, which I do have. All I've got to do is share them with Claude, tell it to actually make sure it uses real data, and it'll show you step by step how to run something, for example, on your computer. If you do not want it to be a VPS, if it is something that has to keep constantly pinging, for example, how to run it at all times to make sure it's always running when your computer is on. That's again for the more difficult tasks. But generally, if this is a number that updates daily, whenever your files update, it can just update automatically. It's that good already. Just ask your Claude about it or ask your ChatGPT. It will know and it will help you to move. Okay, the hunt for the mosquito is on. No way, I actually got him. Okay, grab ourselves back and prioritize again. Back to important things, except for mosquitoes, like building dashboards and stuff. So, but yeah, just to name a couple more examples of what you may want to have inside of your dashboard. If you have leads that you've got to follow up upon, it's actually really nice if you have a little calendar. You can actually also connect your Google Calendar to it, so it actually automatically updates with real things that it can find inside your Google Drive or Calendar. You can connect all of those things to it. But so you can actually also tick them off whenever you have done them. So by then linking it, it automatically also ticks it off from your calendar or from your to-do list. Maybe you've got an app for it. Maybe now you're going to use Claude. These are the type of things you'd want to have inside of your dashboard. Inside of the marketing, you can see, here's all the stuff we're going to market with, or some of the active campaigns we've got going on. What I would also do for myself, and I've of course got my personal dashboards, which are a bit too sensitive to share here, which is why I'm sharing some thoughts and more generic things that will work for most people. You could also have in this active campaign section, it actually look at your real-time spend, and you can actually also just make it clickable. Again, you could just talk Claude through how to do this. It will know exactly how to build it. You just need to think what you want. Or maybe you can connect another sort of tool that you've been using. I mean, what you could just do is inside of Claude, go to the connectors section and just start typing in different connectors, or rather, this is what I'd more so recommend, look through the list of different things that you may find useful. Now, this is not going to be the most token efficient thing you could ever do. Matter of fact, calling upon these connectors could actually cost a lot of tokens as well. But again, if you want to connect your freaking Adobe to Claude, this could be a really good way to do it. If you want to have Notion connected to Claude, this could be a really good way to do it. And of course, simple things like Slack, Gmail, or Google Drive are some of the most popular things that everybody is basically connecting, because why not? If you can insert it into these dashboards, it can make your life a whole lot easier, and you don't have to pay any like one of these marketing companies to build one for you, or pay thousands of dollars to one of these infrastructure providers to have a database that you could literally generate with AI in seconds. And a little fun side note, what I talked about before of actually having your accountant inside of your Claude, there is actually QuickBooks as well, which I know a lot of people use for their accounting software. So little fun fact, little side note there. But anyway, like I said, I just let my AI here build me 2 different templates that were not based on my data, just some random sort of dashboards it could come up with. And the prompt was also so simple. Here's all I told it to do. I'm making a video for AI Untapped, my YouTube channel. I want to showcase the most important thing they could do for their own AI usage, and that is to make a command center, which is basically an operating system for stuff it is that they're doing. I specifically made the video here about a financial officer, but it could basically be about anything. So generate a generic command center that's not specific to me, because I didn't want it to be for my numbers and me specifically, but just based on whatever it will be relatable to people. Then decided to come up with two different ones, Creator OS and Business OS, which you just have seen. And then whatever I wanted to actually link in terms of my data, or if I wanted to change something about this overview, all I'd have to do is, like you already thought, just ask this AI. Go in this chat box, right there below it says write a message. I just start writing what it is that I want changed, what it is that I want added, what I want on a different spot, and as you give this a couple of hours, it'll be the perfect dashboard for you. Keeping track of all your expenses, especially if you make sure that you make it so that it can actually also schedule tasks for you. So for example, you want something to be updated every hour. It actually runs a task that takes a look at a certain document, for example, a certain state, a certain website every single hour to make sure your numbers in your dashboard are also kept up to date. Schedules can be found on the section on the left right there. And by the way, I can see my overview always in my Claude on these buttons, or of course as an HTML in my browser. But I could actually also just, through talking with my AI, let it already on its own realize that it should make scheduled tasks. All I have to do then is approve them. If you go to that scheduled task section, you actually find a couple of different pieces that they already have noted down that you may want to start with. For example, inbox triage, daily briefing of maybe you want to get a little update of everything that's going on in your email or whatever needs your attention right now. To monitor a topic, maybe you want to always check certain news websites a certain time of day, a Friday summary of what happened this week, or do some meeting preparation or some content ideas. This is just kind of what you could also let kind of build up inside of your dashboard for you. And then it comes to like the optimization phase where you could do some cool things like have a council. And this council is, for example, 7 different people, let's say, that all have a slightly different opinion or a slightly different bias, and you give them certain weights with how important each of their opinions is to kind of act like a financial council. So when you want to make a new decision, I should say, when your AI wants to make a new decision for your business, it runs it through a council of different people that you've kind of pre-specified. Like for example, one always has to decline the initial idea and think of every single reason why it's a stupid idea, while the other is really positive and names every single positive side. The other person just doesn't believe it, so it has to really fact check on its own. And you can kind of fill in all these people on your own, or just look up a council on the freaking internet. These are just kind of optimization tips of things that you start to get into as you practice more, as you start building more. But the most important thing is that you just start building it. So I don't want to take much of your time anymore. Just start building. You won't regret it. And that was it for this little AI video. And make sure you join our school, which is linked down below. It's just where you can find free AI tips that you'll definitely want to use. And like I said, that's about it.